Hey everybody, it's Matt Michaels here on the DeFalco Files with the owner and creator of FSW, Future Stars of Wrestling here in Las Vegas, Mr. Joe DeFalco. Joe, what's going on?
Man, I'm beat, and it's only a couple days before the show.
Man, I mean, at this point, just realistically, going into a 4 day weekend where you're going to be basically either at the arena or at the Silver Nugget, pretty much almost around the clock. What do you have to do to prepare yourself uh, to make sure that everything's in place and to essentially have as little going into it of problems that might arise? How do you try to combat there being issues as you're going into the week here? You got like 2 more days, and actually, if we put this out on Wednesday, you got 1 more day, and it's go time. So, what is the process like for you right now?
Well, I'm a person who, I have my hands in everything. So
Right.
I have to concern myself with everything, So it's like, oh, okay. Well, you don't really have to worry too much. There's a show at the school at the arena on Thursday. Well, kind of, yeah, I do. I'm the one who's contacting the talent. I'm the one who's got to get the rooms. Fortunately, our fly-ins are mainly revolvers, so Sammy handled most of that. Uh, but there's people that are just going to be in town. The Jared Diaz, Axel Rico guys. They're going to be here for the weekend because they're going to be used as extras for AEW.
Right.
So it was getting them, the opportunities and putting together the Friday show. And it's like, I'm not booking the flights. I'm not booking stuff. So it's like, hey, did you get that flight for Trey Miguel and Josh Alexander and Rich Swan and yourself? And so that's the chaotic part of that. Then
Right.
there's the chaotic part of dealing with the Silver Nugget. We went down there Wednesday. I'm sorry, we went there Sunday, and it was to check the sound and everything. And we did it before, so it shouldn't be that difficult to process. But the guy who runs the sound was going on vacation Monday, and he's not getting back till Friday afternoon.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we have to go set up, and now we got to set up the ring. Well, we're going to set the ring up on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. And then it was like, oh shit, fucking Dynamite's at Wednesday at 5 o'clock. And we did the women's show last week, and we literally had four motherfuckers for breakdown.
Yep.
Okay. So we can't, it's a little easier at the Sahara. It was a really difficult process. Rocky puts the trailer down, and you literally had to walk 1,000 feet probably to
Yeah.
get to the room. So at the Silver Nugget, we can open up that back door, and you're right there. So not having 100 people is going to be okay. If we had 7 or 8, which I'm perceiving because it's our show and there's possibilities, and me bitching on the student page where we should have a good turnout. If you see any regulars that you would think would be on the show Sunday and they're not on the show Sunday, that would be mainly because they were fucking useless and made no effort to help. Because
Right.
sometimes these guys get on shows, so they think they're above it, and it's
Yep.
like, dude, you're still a couple of years in, you lazy fucks. Like, fucking do some shit. You're gonna get the opportunity to see not only the guys on our show, which are big, but there's the Briscoes and the Cardonas and John Morrison's who's working the other show. It's our job to handle the little things that weekend. Whether it's Tom ringing the bell for all the shows. They're not, nobody's bringing in a bell ringer, nobody's bringing in a gear taker.
Right.
Nobody's bringing in the side security other than maybe a couple of guys that they happen to have. you know. And now the other companies decided that they're going to go through Fight TV because GCW did. So Revolver is, and now Black Label is. So once Ed does his show, we have to break down our shit, for
Right.
production wise. But now we also have to not break it down. And Spider was like, "Oh, but we got to do the show." And then it's like, dude, we're not breaking down the equipment on Friday after our show for Fight TV to set up. They can get another fucking table. Like, we have to do that stuff. So it's
Right.
little shit like that I have to like be hands on. I'm the guy. I'm hands on everything. Brett's still either in California or New York,
Yeah.
Jersey, where he lives. And he's like, "Hey, I'll be in Thursday, whatever needed." That's cool. But, everything's going to be set up by Wednesday.
Right.
After AEW, we start at 8:00. We should have no problems. But there's a lot of work to do,
Yeah.
and then it's like, again, the Thursday show is going to be the easiest day of the bunch because I just have to walk in Thursday. We were supposed to have flyers guaranteed. I paid like an extra $60 for fucking, worst case scenario that they'd be delivered by today. Well, I got the tickets. I just never got the flyers. And right now the flyers are still in print because after I paid for that and got my email, it goes, "Oh, because of the shortages, it might take up to 3 to 5 more business days." I'm like, well, then what did I just fucking pay for?
Serious.
So now I got thousands of flyers that I'm not going to get till maybe Thursday, which now means we have to go before Rampage on Friday, which is the last day that I'd want to go out and do shit because Friday's a busy day for us. So I'd rather just hand out the flyers on Wednesday. So now I have to now create a flyer so I can cut it up and just do paper ones because I can't not have flyers for tomorrow.
Right.
So it's like, that's another added thing on the plate that I didn't really want to have to do. The card's set for Thursday. We're all good. I think we have one spot in a 6-man tag that we need.
Right.
And Friday's all set for us. I'm pretty sure all the other companies. And hopefully by the time this airs tomorrow, we will have the Let It Ride. We know who's going to be at Let It Ride. We got Anthony Green, we got Holiday, we got Vandegrift, Damian Drake, Jay Vidal, Wise Guy, Tag Champs, TBD, and a few others that are going to be part of the show. Who's going to be sticking around? We talked to Christy Janes. She's around.
Right.
So we're trying to make sure we get her. But Viva Van's doing AEW work, as is Danica. So neither one of them are available on Sunday. So we're just figuring out the stuff to make sure, we get a good card for Sunday. Because, again, it's a tough day. It's the day of Double or Nothing. People, God forbid, the show will end and doors don't open for 2 more hours at a venue that's 10 minutes away from us. But again, with a lot of those fans compared to our fans, it's all Uber stuff. So they have to take into effect, and so do we, that it's like, well, you're already on the strip, say. Now you got to spend $50 to get off the strip to go back down just to watch our show. So, we'll see.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was just looking to see there was something Meltzer put out yesterday, and it was trying to explain the Rampage, how it's going to work in terms of the airing of Rampage with the hockey game being in place. And it was just insane because it seems like they have it's like there's nothing in place in terms of the airing of it. Now, luckily, I believe that you said yesterday, it looks like they said they'll be done by 6:30 on Rampage. So, if fans are attending Rampage, remember that you still will have time to get to the Silver Nugget, but you might want to do your due diligence because of what Joe just said, and that is that it might be, difficult catching the Ubers, catching the lifts, and just making that time work. If there is you're getting closer to bell time on Friday, because you have a show right behind you with Black Labels, is there no wiggle room to, let's say, start the bell time 15 or 20 or 30 minutes later because of the fact that they're already supposed to be starting their show at 11:30?
No, they're starting their show at 11 o'clock.
Oh, they're still going at 11. Wow.
But again, they could, if they push it back, there's a good possibility we'll push it about 15 minutes, but that's about all we can do. A lot of those companies have 9 and 10 matches. We're only going to do 8 just because we want to make sure we don't put them on the spot because they need to clear the room. If it wasn't about clearing the room, who cares? We go to 10:30, they could still start at 11. But, there's a lot of people. Now, hopefully we'll be able to figure out ways that if people have tickets to both shows that, maybe we put them in the back and we say, hey, if you got a ticket to that show, and that way we can let them right back in.
Right.
And that'll make the transition easier, which now means that we could open the doors for them at 10:30 and not 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? Because we expect to be over. We were hoping around 10 o'clock. Well, now if we're open at 10:15, 10:20, we should be fine.
Yeah. And was there any consideration? So obviously Saturday is, a back-to-back day. Is there any consideration, or is there something in place in terms of that day where there'll be some kind of wristband system or something that makes it a little easier to identify that this person's already essentially been verified that they have tickets for all these shows? It's just a matter of them getting the ticket scanned then and going to their seat. How is that working for Saturday?
Well, I think there's more than enough time because Ed shows at 12, even if it ends at 2:30. You know what I mean? That Sammy's show don't start till 4. And I don't think the turnout for Ed's show is going to be as much as, say, for Sammy's show.
Right.
So I think there'll be more than enough time at 3:15 to open the doors for Sammy's show. And then his show ends at 6:30-ish. It gives GCW, which I would believe is the, going to be the most attended show of the weekend because it's GCW, and I've known in the past GCW doesn't always start on time. So, if they started 17 minutes late, I don't think any of those fans would give a fuck.
Right. You said setting up on Wednesday and then you get the school show on Thursday. Is it days like this or weeks like this that it really does come in handy that you guys do have a couple rings and are able to, cover the school or the arena as well as the Silver Nugget without having to, basically have one ring and, set it up in the arena, break it down, take it over to Nugget, run those shows for 2 days, and then break it down and bring it back? Is that a plus and a benefit? And did you ever see yourself thinking that you would need 2 rings?
Well, to be honest with you, you don't need 2 rings probably 350 days out of the year, and 15 may be generous. But the thing is, when you do need them, it's good to have. Like, in reality, we did the women's show this past Saturday. Well, if we didn't have a second ring, we would have to put it back up for training on Monday. But what we did was we took that ring down and we already put in the smaller which is more of a practice ring, to be honest with you. You know, we're looking into getting another 18-footer, you know, just for these situations. That way one sits on the trailer, and it makes it far less time consuming, because now we don't have to unload. So now after the weekend shows and Sunday, obviously nobody's going to switch both rings out. So we're going to use the other ring again that's still in the FSW arena on Sunday. So now Monday, we have to come in and spend time taking down the 16-foot ring.
Right.
But you also got to understand there's no place to put it, because the 18-foot ring is on the trailer.
Right.
So you got to take one down. You got to take the other one off the trailer, put it up, and then take the other one and put it back on the trailer, because there's always only one trailer. We at one point did have two trailers, but that was in the old days at the Boulder Highway. Somebody stole the trailer out of the out of the back of the alley. You know, it had registration and license or whatever, you know, license plate and a title, but whatever. So we have one trailer, and you know, but the truth is, we're in the market for a good 18-foot ring, but we're not in the market to spend, you know, $9,000 to have one brand new made to ship from High Spots. Right. You know, we have one of the best rings on the West Coast, and we got it from somebody, Bobby Bradley, the dad was a trainer and wrestled with Jesse Hernandez at EWF. Yeah. And Bobby Bradley, you know, was part of the aerial assault with Rob Van Dam, running old shows at the Nugget. And that was in Victorville, you know, home of where the Bucks had their stuff. And we drove up. I think we paid like $4,000, and we got the trailer. It was a great deal. And the ring's one of the best bumping rings, you know, Impact, Ring of Honor. When they did use it, they all had nothing but glowing reports about it.
Yeah.
So 13 years later.
Yeah, and it's not like it hasn't seen its share of, you know, pretty impactful moves, and you know, a lot of guys in the ring at the same time with battle royals. So that's pretty interesting to know that the ring has held up that well and is still in good bumping, you know, stage where guys would, you know, like to bump on that ring when they come in town. So as we get into Thursday here, with the show at the FSW arena, for you, what do you look as in terms of the fan base coming out? What do you look as being successful when you're looking at the arena compared to when you're looking at the Silver Nugget shows? How do you in your mind see what is a successful, you know, fan attendance at both of those venues for FSW?
There is no set number, you know. Bottom line is you don't want to lose your ass on the show, okay? You know, obviously this arena show is going to be more costly than most of the arena shows that we ever do. You know, there's, you know, we got Hammerstone, we got Bay, we got Titus Alexander, we got Holiday, we got Anthony Green, you know, mixed in with some FSW talent, but a lot of other out-of-town guys. So, you know, we're trying to keep, you know, costs in check. You know, Adam Brooks, you know, these guys that have done, you know, bigger things, you know, at a national and international level. So, you know, fact of the matter is we have a good amount of front row sold for that event. You know, we don't expect it to be lightning in a bottle, GCW versus FSW on the Thursday night, because again, not everybody's in town. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're hoping the people who come, and the biggest deal is we don't know what the walk-up is. We could get 10
Right.
people or we could get 100 people. Like, that's what happened at some of the events that we did in the past, where all of a
Yeah.
sudden, when Joey did his show, I was expecting a colossal failure, to be honest with you. He sold, a decent amount of front rows, but that was about it. And one thing I've learned over 13 years is people who are buying in the front row will generally buy early. People who
Yeah.
are going and buying general admission, a lot of times they just show up the day of and they go buy them because they weren't sure of everything that they were going to do that
Right.
weekend. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. We can go check out the wrestling show. So, we're hoping we get a pretty packed room. The thing is, between our fans and the fans that are going to be there, it's going to be the first event. And the card is, solid as fuck. Davey Richards is on the show, left him out,
Yeah.
So you can go through every match. Chris Bay and Titus Alexander. Oh, okay. Titus getting a big rub on Will Ospreay the other day.
Yeah.
You got Remy Marcel defending the Nevada State. Travis Titan may not be known to a lot of people, but solid dude, worked AEW Dark. And then Adam Brooks, who signed a full-time contract with Ring of Honor right when the pandemic hit. And now he's got to start all over again. And then you got, everybody knows Juicy in FSW, but everybody knows Juicy on the Indies and GCW. And, they've never had the one-on-one match, him and Hammerstone. So, as the MLW champion, there's a lot of people that are into that GCW Black Label Revolver that probably don't know that much about Hammerstone, but just heard of him. You know what I mean? And, then you got some diamonds in the rough, like a Brandon Gatson and a Jacob Austin Young and a Jared Diaz from the East Coast and Axel Rico and, all these guys and Funny Bone and Damian Drake and Sin. We got a guy from Germany, the Rotation, Viva Van and Danica. It's like no matter where you go, damn, there's a really good match happening. So
and you left out Matt Vandergriff.
Vandergriff.
Yeah,
he's got a big weekend. Him against Mike Bailey on Friday. That's the one thing I'm thinking about. But it's like, Thursday he's going to be in the big scramble match with guys I'm excited to see.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with some of the names, especially Adam Brooks, I find phenomenal. He's just such a good in-ring performer. Was
Anthony Green and Jay Vidal.
Yeah, yeah, right off the bat too. So yeah, I mean, please check it out. FSW Network, $6.99 a month. You get this show. You're going to get Ed's show in San Antonio, his women's show, and you're going to get the Full Tilt finale on Sunday there. When you look at putting together scrambles, because you got a scramble going on Thursday, and then you have a scramble going on Friday. Essentially, when you look at that, does that for you just give you that opportunity to allow a few more guys to get into a match? And then how do you look at it in terms of coming up with the chemistry of who would be good in a scramble together, because of the fact that we're not basing this off of storylines, because these are, standalone cards. So what is your process of thought of putting those scrambles together when it comes to, having talent that are not currently in a storyline and it's one-offs?
Well, generally you're looking for similar styles, but you also want to stand alone. When we did that first scramble I put together for the IWF, and I had Rich Swann on one side, AR Fox on another side, Tony Nese on the third side. Well, all three of those guys, risk takers, high flyers. AR Fox picked up the role of the heel very, very well. And him and Swan had a great dynamic together. Now, when we had the fourth guy, we had an unknown guy who now is the Revolver champion in JT Dunn. And JT Dunn was a total opposite, more Chris Hero style, hard hitting, elbow by death, things like that. So he made that fourth person really make you pay attention to the match instead of just four guys zipping around, bing, bang, boom, somebody missed. Oh, 1, 2, 3, it's over. You know what I mean? So there was a whole different dynamic. So we're trying to do the same thing similarly on both shows. You know, on Friday's show, we have a Willie Mack. We have a Funny Bone. You know, we have Adam Brooks. We have Anthony Green, different style than those guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like Damian Drake.
Damian Drake as well. Yep.
You know, and there's a sixth guy that I apologize offhand. I can't think off the top of my old.
It's Juicy.
There you go. So Juicy's not going to wow you with Hurricane Ranas, but you know, I'd be excited to see, you know, Willie Mack do a Canadian Destroyer on Juicy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now Willie and Juicy can break the ring doing the superplex off the top rope, and then you could have, you know, at the same time, Funny Bone coming from the other end and double stomping both of them. You know what I mean? So that's that one is a real mixture of a scramble. On Thursday, because we weren't allowed to do Holiday and Hammerstone because it had their first matchup didn't air on MLW television. Right. So we moved Juicy from the scramble there. So now the scramble, we have kind of high flyer, similar. Axel Rico's the same way. You know, we got Vandegrift. And then we got a guy who had maybe one of the best matches this year, Jacob Austin Young.
Yeah. Who
took on Davey Richards. And he's a little mini version of that, you know, mat-based and Japanese style. So, again, you're not looking at 6 of the same guys doing the same exact thing.
Right.
And what I love about a scramble is things that I hated about, you know, sometimes with PWG and Ring of Honor, you know, bing, bang, boom, oh, kick out. Bing, bang, boom, oh, kick out. And it's like, so you're just hitting monster moves and everybody just kicks out and it's great. Oh, look at all these falsies. Well, I like falsies with 6 guys in it because the falsie is that move was so devastating on you, you couldn't kick out, but because if you didn't kick out and nobody broke it up, the match would be over. So people are breaking up the falls. To me, that is far more exciting than the other way. And then on Sunday, we're looking at doing either the fray match or a gauntlet match. And an idea I just bandied about is a gauntlet match where the final guy is Jay Vidal and it's the No Limits title. So 2 guys start. So we do 4 guys and then Jay Vidal. So 3 matches need to be won. And then you get the opportunity at Jay Vidal. And now all of a sudden we could have Wise Guy, Jacob Austin Young, you know, Matt Vandegrift, you know, Midas Creed, who's going to be there. So now we got some super cool matches. And who's to say we don't put a Richard Holiday or an Anthony Green or, you know, Christy James, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, sky's the limit on what we do on that match. So,
yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see some of these dynamics. In looking at Friday night, obviously, you know, we kind of alluded Mike Bailey and Matt Vandegrift. The anticipation is really high. I know Matt has been wanting to wrestle Speedball for a while. So this is a
Matt wants to wrestle everybody. Big deal. Now he's posting something else that he wants. Somebody else he wants.
But you know that should be a thrilling match. But I think the one that sticks out to me though is Jay Vidal, Trey Miguel, and Nick Wayne as just one hell of a talent mix. That could very well just really take the breath away from a lot of fans. Are you, are you surprised at Nick Wayne's success, being how young he is, and being able to have enough trust in him between yourself and Sammy that you take two guys like it's almost like you got Nick who's kind of the youngest, you got Jay who's in that middle almost moving up quickly, and then you got Trey who's already Impact former X Division champion. Is that something when you look at mixes and matches that you kind of come together and decide, hey, yeah, this is the perfect fit for a match like this, and there is no titles on the line on Friday, is that correct?
No, the Trey Miguel's title's on the line.
Oh, that's right. And Trey Miguel is currently their champion, right?
They're I believe it's the Revolver Remix Championship.
Yeah. So that's an interesting match. Is there something that you look forward to when you see that kind of talent, and being that it's very young talent, and with the age, probably everyone's under the age of 30. Is that something that you look at and go, this is probably going to be one of the best matches all weekend?
Well, it's funny how it comes about because it's FSW versus Revolver. Well, Nick Wayne is neither Revolver or FSW. So, but I knew he was in town and I brought him up to Sammy. And Sammy really was the one who pushed for Trey Miguel versus Nick Wayne. And instead of having Jay Vidal in a multi-man, another, 5-way match, I'm like, hey, we need to put Jay Vidal in here and let's make it a triple threat match, because we didn't have a triple threat match on the show anyway. And the other matches were scrambles. And now it's like having to find another spot, because if Jay Vidal's not in that match and it was just a singles match, now it's like, well, are we doing a 7-way? What are we doing?
Right.
So it's like, Jay Vidal needs that opportunity. You know what I mean? Because in reality, if it's FSW versus Revolver, it should be the No Limits champion against the Remix champion. But because of the Nick Wayne factor and him being here and Sammy wanting to use him because he's never used him before, it just made it an easier decision. And it also gives Jay Vidal now not only Trey Miguel, but also Nick Wayne to work with. You know what I mean? We could build Nick Wayne as representing LA Fights. You know what I mean? It's however we want to do it. The match that I'm looking forward to is Josh Alexander and Tom Lawler. Being that, Joe is the flippy shit guy. I'm also the one who kind of wanted, through talking with Cross about the Natural Born Killers thing. Like, I like a great ground game, and whenever I put over an Eli Everfly, it's as crazy as he is. That is fantastic. But when he can put you in a pretzel, that's what impresses me the most, that a kid who's 120 pounds can do that to a guy twice his size. And it's a shoot that you're going to have to tap yourself out if you really want to get out of the holds, because he's that good at doing it. So that match really excites me. Hammerstone and Davey Richards, that's going to be another extremely interesting match. I didn't see the one at MLW, but I was told it was awesome. And both guys seem to love working each other. So they seem to be, ready to go. I needed a tag team for Death Proof, and, Mikey and a few others were like, oh, you got to use this Violence is Forever. Again, not a Revolver team, but we needed instead of a makeshift tag team of, say, Anthony Green and Richard Holiday, which would have been fine. Now we have, one of the most prestigious teams in the Midwest who really seem to be skyrocketing in popularity.
Yeah.
They're jetting off after Friday. They're going to work Prestige, so they're getting solid bookings everywhere they go.
Yeah. And, ironically enough, they were in MLW and were part of the Tom Lawler's, filthy stable. So it's
They
kind
are
of,
too. Jeez. They got Limelight. They got Royce and Jarrell. They got 100 people in that group.
but now they, in fairness, Violence Forever did leave MLW when their contracts were up recently. So they are, like you said, they're one of the hottest tag teams on the planet right now in the independent world. So that one I am particularly looking forward to, especially because we know that between Jacob Austin Young and Cody, those two guys, they never back down from proving themselves. And man, I think that that could be Violence is Forever is their name, so that could be interesting to see if they really are death proof or if the violence does put them down. Hey, so that's it's going to be a wonderful card all around. And then of course you got the FSW versus Wrestling Revolver 6-man match, which is mixed, and looking forward to seeing Billy Starks and Viva Van get at it in that match. But you got Caljack in there, and that to me right away, just with Remy and Caljack and Viva Van, that is one hell of a mixed tag team right there.
Yeah, again, Caljack was a guy who recently made his debut at Revolver. And, when we were talking about putting matches together, obviously Sammy was impressed. He was like, hey, however we can do it, I'd like to see Caljack on the show. And I'm like, not a problem. We will make it happen. And we were banding about whether it was going to be a 4-on-4 match or a 3-on-3. And, on a show like that, we really wanted to see if we could spotlight a Bodie on the show, and we, if we can come up with somebody on the other end, as a fourth guy, we might do a 4-on-4 just because of the age with Billy Starks and Bodie. These are two young prodigies, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, there's definitely a possibility, we still got a few days left before, and people are coming out of the woodwork. Hey, I'm going to be in town. It's like, dude, the show's in 4 fucking days. You're telling me now that you're going to be in town? Yeah, I'll be right on that.
Did it at any point cross your mind? I'm glad you brought up Bodie. The idea of, and I think these two are going to see each other for years and years and years, and that's Nick Wayne and Bodie going against each other.
Well, yeah, but Nick Wayne's booked Thursday at that Violence and Suffering show, and Sunday he's got to be at AEW. We were trying to line up Bodie versus Nick Wayne on Sunday. Believe it or not, they did have a match against each other.
Really?
Yes. When Nick Wayne came to FSW, we had an EC3 seminar, and he put together some matches.
That's
and
right.
Nick Wayne and Bodie had a one-on-one match that people said was the best match of the seminar. The thing is, I don't believe any of it was filmed. So
I don't think so. I don't think anyone was rolling any cameras at all.
Hidden treasure, Instead of filming it, Lawson was busy filming himself. So it was much more important. He got those 6 views. That's what happens when you're the difference, my friend.
And for anyone who wants to check out more about these cards, we do have a pre-show that is airing throughout the week that you can check out on either the Vegas Bad Boys social media or on FSW social media. And you can, if you don't know who the difference, David Difference, is,
It makes
give
no
a,
difference. It makes no difference if you don't know who the difference is. It will not change your life. I promise you that.
but it's worth it just to see to see Dave in a baseball cap and a suit coat. So
In mode.
yeah.
You know, he's building that brand.
Um, you know,
22 years in the making.
speaking of someone like Dave, how important is it? You know, you kind of alluded to Tom Crawford, who rings the bell at I think every show in Vegas for the most part.
No,
Um,
usually George Furman does. We would rather have one of our fans do it than Tom, to be honest with you.
but when it comes to guys like Dave Lawson and a Tom Crawford and a George Furman, how important are these guys to um, being able to pull off shows like this and just having people who are passionate enough, who want to give their time, who want to put in the effort, so that FSW can sell shirts and you can use the local guys. The other companies can use the local guys to do stuff like this. Even talking to Spider yesterday, just that idea of the other companies using production guys like Spider and Joey. I would assume, is Joey doing anything with any of the companies this weekend?
I know he's going to be there. He's probably going to be helping out at the FSW Revolver show. I know Sammy likes him, so if I guess if Joey wants to do photos or whatever, we're pretty stacked up. You know what I mean? We got 2 or 3 photographers for sure. Justin Cotterall, who's got one of the best reputations, and a guy who's awesome that was just a fan, Ryan West. He moved away to, I believe, like Colorado, but he comes back for the big shows, and he adds a real colorful scheme to his pictures. Yeah. So again, and the Bionic Scoop. So we got like 3 guys that kind of come in and have all 3 different styles. So depending on the style you like, I'm pretty sure Ryan and the other guy, the Bionic Scoop, will be doing the ringside stuff.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Wow.
This is
caught in my throat. But
Joe, are you gonna make it through this weekend?
Oh yeah. It was just the phlegm in my throat. What do you want me to do? But yeah, Justin's probably going to handle more of the backstage stuff, and he does a lot of promo things for people. So, but he's definitely a great hand, to have around. So you can never have enough photographers.
No, and I'm glad you brought up Ryan, because Ryan is one of the best ringside photographers I think that's out there. Who, you're not necessarily getting the credit you deserve sometimes when you're a photographer for the independent shows, and Ryan's work's amazing. Really, really good guy. And
he's the guy who just really started doing that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he would take him from his seat. So now I don't get $50 from him anymore, and now I got to pay him. So that's like that's a big swing the opposite way. So he's got to be good. I now have to pay a guy who was paying me.
Yeah. Oh man. When fans are coming to the Silver Nugget, especially on a day like Saturday, where it's going to be kind of a long day, is there any plans in place of having any food trucks, or is it basically watch the show and then when the show is done, either go out to someplace that's close or get a bite at, you know, the Silver Nugget. What's the idea for food for fans? And the bar will be fully functional too. Is that correct?
Well, there's going to be the taco truck that was there the last time. I guess they're friends with Silver Nugget. They've been there for forever, I guess. So they're
Okay.
going to be there for sure. We got the okay. Uh, you know, David was put in charge of that. And then I asked him, and I'm still working on it. Okay. It's like, well, you should be able to either solidify it or not. It's in a couple days because you have to have a North Las Vegas food license. But the idea, especially on a Saturday when we're going to be there all day, like to have one of our own food truck people
Sure.
that we can utilize down the line, that they say, hey, you know what? We're going to kick you back a few dollars instead of the money going all over there, and we're not getting any credit or kickback on the back end. So,
Right.
you know, in a lot of situations, this venue's different. A lot of them base what we pay off the food and drink guarantee.
Right.
Well, Silver Nugget doesn't, so it doesn't really matter. But if you did and you rang up big numbers, you might be able to leverage it a little bit. You know
Right.
what I mean? And from what I understand, they're still having major issues, and the cafe is really almost never open. I am told you can order food from the bar, but now it's keeping track and going upstairs and having to stand there. And, you
Yeah.
know, I assume, you know, before and after shows, it's great if you get the bar food, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it would be a hell of a lot easier that if the show ended at 2, Ed show that you went to, you go sit in the cafe, you spend 45 minutes not sitting at a bar top, because it's kind of like, hey, I'm just trying to eat. Why aren't you gambling? No, you're taking up a spot for somebody, you know. And
Right.
people don't want to sometimes eat on the bar of a casino floor. You know what I mean? They'd rather just sit at a table amongst their friends, because in the casino it's one seat, one seat, one seat. You know, a
Right.
group of 4 can sit in the booth. You know, it just makes it easier. You know, but they won't allow us. You know, we could bring, you know, snacks and, you know, prepackaged food and things like that. So, you know, hopefully we could bring in something on all 3 shows or all 5 shows that are there.
Um, and with FSW merchandise, uh, what is it that, and we've never really talked merchandise, but what is it for you that makes any kind of successful merchandise sale for FSW? Is it just selling 1 or 2 shirts, or what do you see as kind of the goal in having merchandise available at the events?
You know, that's one thing I believe we are majorly lacking in. Okay. Uh, you know, in most situations, you got to order them online. You know, we've never really sat down and had this game plan, because, again, we started with the DVDs, but people don't buy DVDs anymore. You know,
Right.
we had worked on a card set, and we've had it stopped and started numerous times. We thought we had a 3D printer. Like, I'm looking for super cool shit, because
Yeah.
the bottom line is most fans would rather buy a J Vidal or a Funny Bone t-shirt than an FSW t-shirt.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're supporting FSW by buying the ticket, but they're supporting the wrestler by buying the shirt, because that's
Right.
going directly to them. So, you know, maybe we can get that GCW following, that no matter what shirt you put out, you know, it's a different story. But the thing
Yeah.
is, if you're at our event and you see a shirt, you might buy it. You
Right.
might, but the idea of you going out of your way to Pro Wrestling Tees, or David had his own little store, it's just a much more difficult process. You know what I mean? It isn't WWE.com or AEW where you know, you have the masses. You know, we
Right.
have a much smaller fan base compared to a major company. So we do in reality do need to have shirts on stock, you know, and
Yeah.
things like that. But again, when you're limited on, you know, who's around to help, it becomes a little more difficult. You know, somebody creates a logo or whatever. It's like you bring it to the printer and it's like, oh, do you have an AI file? And it's
Yeah.
like, we don't have that person. It's like, hey, can you do it off a PNG or you creating a vector file? Like even Joey, who can make designs all day long, somehow, you know, that is a more difficult process. You know what I
Right.
mean? So,
Yeah.
and I got 900 other things there, 9,000 other things, 9 million other things to be worried about. But
Right.
it is a revenue source that we do not take advantage of for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. So if you're a fan and you're listening and you are at the show, and you see something that catches your eye, pick up a shirt. There's some decent designs for the
I,
shirts, I
I,
think.
I think
So
that fam shirt is was a fantastic idea, but it's
yeah,
never been really pushed. You know what I mean? To
yeah,
where yeah, you see it at the show or whatever, and maybe that's our fault getting it out there. You know what I mean? It's like specific things that need to be done to generate the interest in being part of the fam. Like we've always treated our fans that way.
yeah,
So, you know, when we first came out and we printed a basic FSW logo, Future Stars of Wrestling, we sold, you know, hundreds of those shirts. So there should be no reason why we couldn't sell hundreds of the fam shirts, being that we have more fans
yeah.
than we did when we first started. So that's definitely something to look into.
As we kind of get ready to wrap up here, obviously the next time we talk, we'll be talking about how everything went. Um, as we head in, two things. One, is there anything else that you want to let the fans know? And two, um, what are your expectations going in? And next week, we'll see if those expectations were met.
You know, my expectations are we want to put on a great show, you know, regardless. Like with so much going on, no, I would love to have as many people that were at the Mecca at this event, but there's so much going on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But with GCW and Black Label and Revolver doing their own show as well as ours, my expectation is holy fuck, man, that weekend was great, but that FSW Revolver show, that was the best show of the weekend. You know, there
Yeah.
was nothing more prouder last time we did the events when we first did When Stars Collide, and somebody posted it was Ring of Honor weekend, obviously. You know, Friday they had the anniversary show. Saturday they did their TV taping. And Sunday we did what was really the first Mecca When Stars Collide. And we had a three-way match between Keith Lee and Brian Cage. And then Sammy Callahan got added because Davey Richards didn't show up. And nobody knew who Keith Lee was. And it blew the roof off the building.
Yeah.
And a fan posted on Twitter, he goes, man, what a great weekend of wrestling. But by far, the best match on the shows was Keith Lee versus Brian Cage versus Sammy Callahan. And then a quote came in from the Young Bucks, and it was, oh, we highly doubt it. And it's like, well, obviously they paid attention and it matters to them. But, you know, the fans have spoken because numerous people, you know, gave the heart emoji for that
Yeah.
match.
Yeah.
And We want people coming out of there saying, oh, man, Tom Lawler and Josh Alexander, or guys they didn't know were like, holy shit, this Jay Vidal guy's great. Oh, Matt Vandergriff and Mike Bailey was fantastic. What a tag match with Death Proof and Violence is Forever. Holy shit, that four-way with Chris Bay and Rich Swann and JT Dunn and Kenny King. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? It's like there's 6. We have 8 matches. You know, there's 5 or 6 that can easily lay claim that they could possibly be that match of the weekend.
Yeah.
And, you know, no offense, but on the other cards, you know, some are more character driven or whatever. And they may get, you know, they got guys, GCW, who are over as fuck. Yeah. But that doesn't mean they're going to have the best match. And that doesn't necessarily mean a lot, but it does to the wrestlers. You know, Matt Vandergriff goes out and people say him and Mike Bailey had best match of the weekend. I'm pretty sure that Matt Vandergriff is going to see a little bump in his bookings. Yeah. And that's what the local talent is looking to do. All they're looking at is being seen by a new audience. Right. Now, Remy Marshall doesn't work for Revolver, but now he's on a show with Revolver. So that means Revolver fans are probably going to check it out. Why wouldn't they? You know, and it's the same thing with Black Label and of course, GCW. You know, GCW came to town. How many FSW stars did GCW use before they came to Vegas?
Right.
0?
Pretty much.
You know, maybe they used, I couldn't even tell you, Chris Bay might be, you know, one of the only guys that they would have used on that. Then all of a sudden they came to town and, oh shit, Damian Drake and Vandergriff when they were the Unguided against the Second Gear crew, and they used them. And then they had LA Fights, and LA Fights is half the FSW roster. So, you know, and out of that half, or maybe more, it's probably more. Half are probably guys that are strictly FSW guys, and then there's probably a third, like an Eli Everfly or a Tito, or just a bunch of guys that we would normally use on frequent occasions here. So obviously GCW saw the talent. They use more guys from Vegas than they use from California. And I would say there's probably 10 times as many wrestlers in California. So that says something about Jay Vidal being over there and Matt Vandergriff and Damian Drake. And, you know, I just saw the last LA Fights, you know what I mean? And it's like, there's so much talent there.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. The opportunity for fans to get to know some of these guys who maybe they've heard the name, you know, but haven't seen a match. Maybe they've seen 1 or 2 matches, and maybe that, you know, the influence that these guys will have on some of the younger talent in FSW will also be something that I hope, you know, like you said the other night, ring crew, 4 guys doing all the work. I hope that some of the younger guys do take advantage of being part of the ring crew, helping out, just so they can watch these guys work, because your goal should be to, you know, be good enough to get onto these types of cards. So, you know, I hope that influence is there too.
You know, and the thing is, I get it. You know, a lot of the regulars, I guess you could say, you know, there's that younger crew that's still young, and they get booked out on Fridays and Saturdays and stuff like that. But there were a few who were like, oh, yeah, we're good for every day but Friday. We got a show. Okay, well, where were you Saturday? You know, not that there was anybody there, but there was 4 people, and Nick Zander was one of the 4 people. You know, here's a guy who gets booked all the time. Now, he could have been like, oh, you know, I've had all these bookings, you know, I've helped out a lot. I'll be there next week. But he made it a point to say that he'll be there. So regardless of the fact, if we do a pre-show match on Thursday to add a match, he's the first person that's getting on the fucking show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, no offense to the other guys. And on Sunday, he will be on the main card. Now, the question is, if there's spots, sure. We'll see who shows up this week on Wednesday and on Thursday, And if you can't show up and you can't help with flyers, a guy like Matt Vandergriff would show up and still be wrestling TJP at the show, and he would still be there for setup.
Yeah.
A Cody will still set up. A Damian Drake will still set up. And there's a lot of guys who are kind of in and out. And I look at it one way, and of course they look at it a different way. They feel if they're at a certain level, they're beyond that. But it's like, okay, well, this is your fucking company. And the guy that's giving you all these opportunities needs some help being there.
Yeah.
As a person, wouldn't you fucking want to do it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we love you, Joe. Because again, there's the polar opposites who fucking can't stand me. But I think I have far more people who appreciate, respect, and even like me. And it's like, when I'm posting stuff, it ain't because I feel like venting. I'm the last one who wants to go off. It's like, okay, you got me to the level. Now I got to go fucking nuts because Rocky gives me a call like, hey, can you put another fucking post? There's 4 motherfuckers here. You know what I mean? And I knew who 2 of them were. So I'm like, okay, I know Nick said he was coming, but there was like 5 or 6 others that made it seem like they were able to be here on Saturday. And then, blah, 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 this and blah, 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 that. And I'm like, okay, well, when you say you're going to do something and then you can't do it, at least have the fucking decency to fucking tell me.
Right. Yeah. It's something too, if you're a young wrestler, if you're listening to this, one of the things you just got to remember is that you don't just get from the business. You have to give to the business to get from the business. And if you treat this as a profession, if you treat it like it's something that is, sacred to you, then in return, you're going to get the benefits of what this business is. Be good to it. It will be good to you. So it's very important to, do those things that will help, especially in your home companies. You have to treat it like it's your home and, do things that will help out. And, you will either benefit through getting the attention of the promoter, getting the attention of the bookers, or, you will get the respect from all the people around you. And I think that's one big thing, man. Nick Xander, like you said, I saw Rocky and I saw Nick, and it was just amazing because Xander is like, oh yeah, hell yeah. I absolutely was going to be here 100%. And that means, a lot, because if you look at his career and how he's going forward, and, again, if you don't know Nick Xander, please look up his matches, look him up, because he's making a name for himself and he's doing it the right way. And that is very important. And I hope that, again, if you're a young wrestler, take those words of advice from those of us who have been around it and have, experienced doing it, because there's nothing more important than making sure that you shine because your company is shining. And that's very important. Any final words, Joe, before we sign off?
No, man. I'm just hoping to get through this weekend. I want to see, as many of our friends and fans, come up and and support us on this. It's like, If this is successful, then this is something we could continually do down the line. Obviously, we've built our relationship with GCW. I'm pretty sure if Callahan does well, he's going to want to do something. Unfortunately, Money in the Bank is so close from the anniversary that we've neglected that. It's like the anniversary show is in less than 4 weeks. Yeah. It's like, fuck, we got to get shit out. We're trying to do a show, High Octane, on next Saturday on April 4th.
June 4th.
June 4th, sorry.
Yeah.
And we're trying to set up some of the matches. Fortunately, we've done a good job setting up matches for the anniversary that, we're in place to where Hammerstone and Remy Marcel will be defending their titles. We just have to make the announcement. It's pretty much a given who Hammerstone's going to wrestle, as well as Remy Marcel. We're putting together some stipulations. We have some other matches that we have in check. Then, of course, we have the Cash in the Case ladder match. And then we'll do our Nick Bockwinkel Battle Royal, which we'll probably do as the pre-show. And what we may do this year is the winner of that Battle Royal will get the final spot in the Cash in the Case ladder match. So,
oh, wow. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's really cool. That sounds fabulous. And again, the anniversary show, we're looking, I believe it's June 19th at the Silver Nugget. It's a great opportunity to take your dad to a wrestling event. He used to take you as a kid. Take him on Father's Day to see the anniversary show, and we'll have more about that in the coming weeks. So that should be something to get excited about. The poster design, I saw the flyer design, and man, Mikey does a great job of making sharp looking designs. It was, just wow.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it, man. The thing is, there's so much going on, and it's like, oh, we got to get the Let It Ride thing out there, and it's like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and that's a good way to end the show. This is going to be a crazy week for sure for anyone in Las Vegas who's coming in. Again, check out the shows. Check out FSW's website, and you can see everything that's going on. We pride ourselves in being a city of wonderful tourism. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but in this case, we don't want it to stay in Vegas. We want it to get out to everyone. So if you're not coming to Vegas for that weekend, please, look up the cards on Fight TV. There's, the shows are available on Fight TV. And like we said, $6.99 for the FSW network. You'll see this Thursday show. You'll see Ed and San Antonio's all women show on Saturday. And you'll get to see the Sunday show, which is a noon start here on the West Coast. So you get 3 shows for $7, and you get to see everything else that FSW has done over the years, and see some of your favorite stars of today when they were just future stars. So definitely just tune in if you're a wrestling fan this week. If you see Joe around, say hello to him this weekend. I'm sure he'll probably
when you see me running from spot to spot.
You might be taking your ticket, or he might be yelling at someone for not doing the right thing. But please, if you're coming in from out of town, let us know that you're here, and we'll say hi and thank everyone for their support. So until next week, Joe, let's have a good weekend for you, and we'll get to talk about it next week and see how it went.
All right. Look forward to it. I guess we'll see you too.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Take care.